All right, this is lesson 5.2, day 1. We are going to divide polynomials. So dividing, basically you know that this is the dividend, what it equals, the divisor, the quotient, the remainder. All those words should be review for you. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's review long division. Let's make it a little simpler though. Let's go ahead and change this to a 9. So how we set it up is we put the 9 out front. Let's go ahead and do it over here. What we are actually dividing it by. Then we have our little bracket here. What we're dividing. And that is 3,757. All right, so let's go ahead and what we want to do is, can 3 be divided by 9? No. Can 37 be divided by 9? Yeah. 4 times 9 is 36. So we put the 36 down here and we subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1, so we bring the 1. We can't divide 1 by 9, so we bring the 5 down, the next number. Can we divide 15 by 9? Yeah. We can divide it 1 time. So we put the 9 down here and we subtract. And then we get 6. And remember, we're subtracting. So then 6 can't divide it by 9, so we bring the 7 down last. And we know 9 times 7 is 63. So then we can subtract there and we get 4. And that is our remainder. So our answer would be 417, remainder 4. So we're going to do that same thing, only this time we're going to do it with polynomials. So here's what it looks like. First step is to make sure that it is in standard form, and any terms that are not included have a coefficient of 0. So we have a 2x cubed minus x squared. Uh-oh, where's my x? So since I don't have it, I put a plus 0x. We have to represent every space, every coefficient, and then 25. So now what we're going to do is we're going to write it as a division problem like we did here. So we're going to put an x minus 3 out front, and underneath, there we go. Our dividend goes under here, what we're dividing, plus 0x plus 25. Okay, so for this first one, we're going to divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor and put that in the quotient space. So 2x to the third divided by x. Well, basically we're just taking out an x, right? So it is a 2x squared. So now what we're going to do is we're asking ourselves, what is 2x squared times x minus 3 equal? And so we can write it underneath here. So I'm going to put that in a different color. 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared minus times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. Now what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this quantity here. Now what we want to do next is actually distribute that negative and write our new thing here. So this is when we distribute, this changes to addition and this changes to subtraction. So now it's 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. Well, that gives me nothing, 0, cancels out. And then we have a negative x squared plus 6x squared. So that gives me 5x squared. And then I bring down what's left. Okay, now we repeat and we do what we did when we started. So let's look up here. And we have, I'm going to make this a different color so you can see where our answer is forming. Okay, so 5x squared divided by x. So what that gives us is a 5x. So we take that 5x, times it by the x minus 3 to get 5x squared minus 15x. All right, now remember, we're putting that in parentheses and we're subtracting, so we want to distribute that negative. So that changes it to a positive, and that makes this negative out front here. So subtract. We don't have any x squareds left. We do have a positive 15x here. And then we bring down our plus 25. So last step here is to repeat again. And we want to figure out 15x divided by x. Well, that's 15. And anything up front here multiplies. So it's 15x, and that would be minus 45. In parentheses, we're subtracting this thing. So again, distribute that negative. That's a really important step. That becomes positive. The out front is negative. Subtract the 15x, get 0. Then take 25 plus 45. That is 70. So that's our remainder. So our final answer would be written, it's formed up here as 2x squared plus 5x plus 15, and then we do plus, and we put our remainder 70 over our dividend there, which is x minus 3. And that's our final answer. So you also have to represent that remainder. Let's do another one. Let's first talk about, though, whether or not we're going to have that as a factor. So for this first part, though, up here is, what does it mean if you get a remainder? Well, that means the divisor isn't a factor. So divisor isn't a factor. So for example, looking at this first one, 5 divided by 2, well, that is 2.5. So is 2 a factor? No, because there's a remainder. Is 6 divided by 3, since it's 2, is that a factor? Yes. There's no remainder. And then x squared divided by x, yeah, that's x. So yes, that's a factor as well. So dividing, we get x plus 3. So is x minus 5, if we get this x plus 3, there's no remainder out here on the end. So x minus 5 is a factor because no remainder. All right, over here, what's that? That's a remainder. So this is a no, not a factor because it has a remainder. Over here, what's that? Remainder, not a factor because it has remainder. That last one, hopefully you're thinking about the fact that there's no remainder, so this is a factor. So there's no remainder. All right, let's go ahead and practice one more example together, and then I'm going to have you do one. Actually, we'll probably do both of these, and then I'll have you do number 3. I think we've got time. So 3x plus 1 out front, underneath 15x squared plus 8x minus 12. Think division. Dividing 15x squared by 3x, you'd get a 5x. So now multiply 15x squared plus 5x. Remember, we are subtracting, so we distribute that negative. So that makes it a negative 15x minus 5x. So now we add or combine those or subtract those in a sense. 15x squared minus 15x cancels. 8x minus 5x, that's 3x. Bring down the negative 12, and we repeat. So for this one, 3x divided by 3x, well, that's just 1. So multiply, it's 3x plus 1. When we multiply 1 times the two numbers out front here, we put the negative out front, and then we distribute it. So when we distribute it, we get a negative. Over here, we get a negative 1. So 3x minus 3x, nothing. 12 minus 1, negative 13. There's our remainder. So we write our final answer up here, 5x plus 1. And then we put minus 13 over, and then we put what we're dividing by underneath that. Make it into kind of that fraction, 3x plus 1. Okay, let's take a look at this one, and then I'll have you try that last one. So for this one, we have x minus 3 out front, because I like red today. Underneath here, putting what we're dividing. So when anything's to the negative first, remember it moves down, so we are dividing by x minus 3. That's what that little negative exponent is basically saying. So we are going to put an x here because x squared divided by x is x. So let's multiply now. What's up here times, divisor out there, x times negative 3 is negative 3x. Now parentheses, distribute that negative. So we wind up with a minus x squared and a plus 3x. So add, we get an 8x, bring down, and repeat. So putting, again, dividing 8x by the first term out here, so that's an 8. And now we multiply. 8 times x is 8x. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. And now we distribute that subtraction. So that changes it over here to an addition and then negative out front. So subtracting those, nothing. Adding here, negative 28 and 24 is negative 4. So our answer would be x plus 8 and then minus 4 over x minus 3. All right, try this last one on your own, and we're actually going to change it. I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you. So we're going to change it completely to a 2x cubed minus 10x squared plus 3x plus 5 divided by x minus 5. So set it up, try that one, and then we'll check when you're ready. All right, so let's go ahead and check this one. So first step, take that 2x cubed, and we're dividing it by x. So that would be a 2x squared up here. Now we take and multiply this by both terms here. So 2x squared times x is negative 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 5 is negative 10x squared. Then we distribute that negative, so it becomes minus 2x cubed plus 10x squared. So then we add, oh, nothing left. So then we bring down what's left, those two things here that are left. And then we take 3x divided by x to put a 3. We multiply 3 times x and 3 times negative 5 to get 3x minus 15. Distribute that negative, so then we take 3x minus 3 and negative 15 plus 15, and it's 0. So there's no remainder on this one, and the answer is just 2x squared plus 3, what we had up here.